Hi, gang. I'm back. This is Kathi with Organize and Energize the podcast. Of course, you know that because you're here. But what you don't know is who I'm going to talk to. I'm talking to the profit coach, Susie Carder. We're going to have an amazing conversation about you're not alone, how you can make money, how you can be successful and live your passion and make a lot of money in the process. So, welcome to the show, Susie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to play with you and support your community and your tribe. Love working with powerful women.
Yeah. So I know you have a big backstory. Tell us a little bit for people who don't know you, Susie. Tell us about your background story and how you got to be the profit maker, central girl that you are.
Well, I am a rogue entrepreneur. My formal training and my vocation is I was a hairdresser. And I was a hairdresser who found herself as a single mom raising two little girls, and I had to figure out the money thing. And I didn't know much about business when I started. And I immediately had my own business, which I didn't realize, right? Because that industry, you're a booth renter or you're strictly commission. So there's no salary, there's no guarantee, there's no, oh, here's your paycheck. If you did not sell something, you did not eat. And so being a single mom with two little kids, I had to figure out how to eat and eat quick. Right. And loved what I did, loved my vocation, but only 15% of what we do in business is your vocation. Right. So as a hairdresser was how I color permed it. 85% is sales, marketing, operations, communication. And so I learned early on that I need to be in front of my ideal client, people who I always said I wanted my clients chemically dependent on me. So clients who were investing in hair color, clients who loved chemical work, because those were the higher ticket prices. And I would go to the bookstore at night to figure out how to market, to figure out my ideal client. This was way before the internet. I'm a little bit seasoned, y'all, if you're listening to this. I've been in business for 30 years.
Woohoo!
I caught the attention of Paul Mitchell, and Paul Mitchell said, Susie, what are you doing? Because I finally figured out the business formula for that business and was doing about $250,000 a year as a hairdresser, which, to give you context, the average hairdresser, I didn't own the salon, I was a booth renter. The average hairdresser at that time made about $30,000 a year. And so I said, oh, well, I have this marketing campaign and I have this referral program and I upsell every client and I want my clients chemically dependent on me, right? And just making fun of what I was doing. They're like, oh my gosh, can you teach our clients? I'm like, sure. I didn't have a class. I was not a speaker. I just wanted to help my community. My community needed the business side of education, not necessarily the technical side of education. And that's how I started speaking. And then people said, oh, Susie, love what you do. Do you have a book? I'm like, no, I don't have a book. I just want to share the good news. They're like, oh, if you had a book, we would buy it. And I'm like, I'm going to write a book and be famous.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right? You know, you got some books back there.
Yeah.
And so I wrote my first book. Oh, I had to I had to figure out how to write the book. I had to figure out how to publish the book. I had to figure all that out and not knowing the business model, right? And so wrote my first book, and the first publisher I approached rejected me. And the great thing about entrepreneurship, if you're an entrepreneur, you definitely know this story is like, oh, don't tell me no. Don't. So
Yeah.
I created my own publishing company. And then from there, students said, oh my gosh, love the book, hate to read. Do you have it on audio? I'm like, no, I'm just a hairdresser, right? So then I went to the studio, had to figure out how to record it, had to figure out how to do it. And so then created audio. And really, that's how the speaking side started. People would just go, hey, Susie, oh my God, I love that spreadsheet. Can I buy it? I'm like, how much would you pay for that? That, Kathy, was my pricing strategy in the early day. How much would you pay for that?
Uh-huh.
And then I realized I love speaking. I'm like, wow, how can I be in front of 50 women at one time to bring into the salon? Right. So then that kind of leveraged my speaking. Now, I want you to know, I hated speaking. I did not like it. I would get sick to my stomach. I would go throw up. But the end result, which was I made a difference and I got clients, was so well worth it.
Yeah.
And so in the early days, that's how I started speaking. That's how I started, making money. And then I was building this online platform back in 1999. Now think about 1999, there was no Google. There was no word share. There was no software share. There was no WordPress. There was no Infusionsoft, no ClickFunnels. You had to build everything from scratch. And so like, oh, back in the day, I was like, you just need eyeballs. You just need people to see your site and then you'll be rich. Me and my rich bananas, right? Like, oh, rich. Be on there, you'll be rich. Build this site, you'll be rich.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to raise money because it was $500,000, Kathi. $500,000 to build this website. Like, that is bananas. I think back at it. So
Yeah.
crazy, right? Just
It was expensive back then. It was so expensive back then.
so expensive. Like, I had to walk miles in the snow, right? That's what it feels like. So I went to this millionaires forum because your business had to do $1 million, and they were teaching you how to raise money. And then I realized, I'm like, they're teaching us how to raise money, which was great, but they're not teaching people what to do with the money. They're not teaching people how to build a business. So I went to the founder and said, listen, you got to teach people how to build a business. You're teaching them to raise all this money, and then their businesses fail. And he's like, great, why don't you do it? I'm like, I don't know anything about those businesses. I just know the salon and spa. He's like, you'll be great, do it. So he really got me into the general market entrepreneurship, right? I was like, oh my gosh, I was so scared, Kathi. How many times do you sabotage yourself out of fear?
Oh, yeah.
I was so nervous, like, oh my God, Kathy's going to judge me. Oh my God. We had doctors, attorneys, graphic designers, people that ran amusement parks, people who, like, all doctors and surgeons and all the fancy people, right? I let my smallness get in the way of my greatness. And how many times do we do that, right? Where the universe, I call it God, you can call it whatever you want, gives you an opportunity and you just go, no, 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 no. And I did no for years. People would say, Susie, can I hire you as my coach? I'm like, no, I don't work in your industry. I just work in the beauty industry, right? And so one night I was laying in bed praying, probably crying, right? And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, these people keep asking me. And I heard a voice that said, just charge double. They won't do it. So I'm like, oh, perfect. I'm just going to charge double. So the next event I went to, someone said it, and I, in my head, I gave them the price. It was double of what I was charging in the beauty industry. And they're like, perfect. Where do I sign? I was like, oh.
Yay.
Oh. So I had to figure out, each business that I signed up. And that's when I realized business is business is business. Yeah. You have units of things you want to sell. You have a price point you have to sell at. You have cost of goods that take to create that product, and you have fixed expenses, and then there's profit left over. There should be, right? Profit is planned for. And I took the same systems that I had built with high-end salons and spas and just changed the language, because business is business is business. Yeah. And that's how I got into the general marketplace of entrepreneurship. Kicking and screaming, right? It wasn't like just, okay, I'm going to do this overnight, right? 30 years later, I'm an overnight success. But I built 10 multi-million-dollar companies, right, over the 30 years and thousands, helped my clients make thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars in their own business. And so
I like what you said at the beginning that, whenever especially when you first launch a business, it is only 10 to 15% of you doing what you love, which is why you're doing the business. And the other 85%, if you don't know those nuts and bolts or those tactics that you need to do, grow and thrive and get the clients. I tell people that all the time that want to be pro organizers. I'm like, well, do you know how to market? You're not just going to be in people's homes helping them get organized or whatever. You're going to have to know how to get the people to get you in their homes.
Exactly. Yeah. And my students are the one that called me the profit coach when I was doing the brand for this brand. My clients were like, I was like strategic coach, executive coach. They're like, no, that's not what you do. I'm like, it's not? Like, I love it. It was a focus group, not knowing I was doing a focus group, right? And they're like, Susie, you're the money. Like, you're the profit coach. Like, you just bring us money. Every time I'm on a call with you, I can see the money all around me. Like, you're a profit coach. And took it to my marketing team. They're like, we love it. So my students came up with that. The profit coach. I didn't give myself that name, but I love to find the money in business because it truly is all around you. There's money all around you, whether you know how to leverage it, right? Most people get afraid of it. Most people aren't doing the work they need to do to generate the money They're doing the work, the vocation work, which that's great. I do have to deliver my product and services, but if I can spend time in your sales, in your marketing, to get you in front of your ideal avatar, to get you to look at, are you spending the money correctly, to find the right clients and the clients that can afford you. Most people are marketing to fans, right? People who like just love them. Okay, but the fans aren't paying our bills, right? Clients, I'm done pushing people uphill. I want to work with people who love and adore me, and I love and adore them, and we have fun together. You can build a business that way. It doesn't have to be a pain in the booty, right? It can be fun because we're doing this. We do this more than we spend time with our family. So I want to make sure that I love it. I want to make sure my clients love it. So they're not going, oh, this thing called entrepreneurship. I want it to be fun. I want it to be, amazing for them.
Yeah. And people go in peaks and valleys. And when people get burnt out, what advice do you give them whenever they just can't see, air to come up out of the water? What would you tell them to
really
do?
hit burnout because we're not taking care of ourselves, right? And especially if you're a woman entrepreneur, we have been trained to provide and for everybody else. Let me take care of my mom. Let me take care of my children. Let me take care of my man. Let me take care of my partner. Let me take care. And we're last on the totem pole. So when you're in burnout, the first thing I say is, what do you need for you? And, I remember really taking care of myself. I'm like, well, what do you mean? What do I need from me? They're like, what do you need to relax? What do you need to take care of yourself? I'm like, well, what do you mean? I couldn't even comprehend, Kathi. I'm like, I don't understand the question, right? Because my whole life had been about taking care of everybody else. And so I had a list of what were something called comfort tools, right? So when I was stressed out, burnt out, what are the things that made me happy? Because when you're stressed out, burnt out, you can't think what are the things that make you happy. You just want to take a nap or watch Netflix and chill, right? Or grab a glass of wine or a cocktail or whatever, or food or sex, whatever your vice is. And that's not necessarily healthy. In the short term, great, it's a little escape. But if you're doing that ongoingly, right? I think mine was, I started seeing myself drinking. Okay, after work, I'm drinking. After work, I'm drinking. Oh, okay, now I think I'm getting into a problem, right?
Yeah.
And so what are the things that you need to take care of you first? It's like the old airplane adage, put the mask on before you give everybody else's. Easier said than done. And so when we hit burnout, and I've hit it several times over my career, is then I stop and I take time for me. And now when I take time for me, then I have time for you. My creativity flows, right? I have more ideas. I can see money differently. When you're just in that grind all the time, right? It doesn't allow you the freedom to be creative. And we are creative beings as entrepreneurs. Even if you're linear, you're creative, right? You're creating money, you're creating spreadsheets. Because most people who are linear go, I'm not creative. Oh, yes, you are. Have you seen them put an Excel sheet together?
Right. You created a business. So yes, you are a creator. You created a business, even if the business isn't exactly where you want it to be, you are creating it.
Right.
Sure. And even if it's a niche that someone else is in, like maybe they're just going to be a hairdresser. Well, that is a business, and that is their own unique business because it's their own unique way of doing business. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think a lot of people get stuck and saying, well, I'm not that. I love the idea. I would welcome all you listeners out there to go ahead and make a comfort sheet. Like, what does bring you comfort when you're in that stressed out situation? You can go look at that list and say, okay, I'm just going to go sit in the sun for 5 minutes, or whatever it is, so that you can fall back into what you know already, predetermined relaxation technique, so to speak. Because I agree, Susie, when you're in it, sometimes you're just like, no, I'm just going to go binge on Netflix. I'm not going to do what really revitalizes me. That's just like hiding, right?
Right. So I even had it to the point, it's like when your partner says, hey, let's go to dinner, right? We all know what we don't want, right? But we can't figure out what we do want.
Always.
Right? So I created a place of, here's my favorite restaurant. So when my man said, hey, let's go to dinner, I would look and go, oh, let's go here. Because you forget. You don't remember when you're stressed out. And I traveled a lot. So I was traveling from Sunday, so leave Saturday night, come back Monday night, right? And then I'd go back to work in the salon on Tuesday. So I was look, Friday died, laid to the side. I was exhausted,
Yeah.
right? So when you go, oh, what do you need to do? Oh, I like a massage. I even had a list of the friends that I like to hang out with. Because,
Mhm.
when you're in that space, you're like, I don't have any friends. Nobody loves me. Like, you just forget. Right.
Yeah.
And the reality is, friends fuel you, right? Relaxation fuels you. Exercise fuels you, right? Going and enjoying a nice dinner somewhere fuels you. And if you don't have that idea, then you go eating somewhere where you don't really enjoy. And to me, having someone else cook and serve me can be an amazing experience versus just food, right?
Yeah, it's so funny. We all know what we don't want so easily. It's like, well, I don't want Indian, I don't want Thai, I don't want Greek. It's like, well, what's left? What are you left with? I love having the idea of places that that you love that are fallbacks. My husband and I, we joke, is like, we just want a good atmosphere.
Right.
Like we can eat any kind of food because we like every kind of food, but let's give us a nice atmosphere where we get waited on, where it's chillaxing, and so that's as close as we get to what we do want.
Right. I want some good service. The challenge, I cook better than most restaurants, so I'm very picky, right? To go, oh,
Yeah.
I hate to spend $100 on food and then it's nasty. So,
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's really great advice all the way around, actually, for everybody. So, tell me about what you're going to offer the listeners, and then we'll jump back into a few more questions. But what do you have out there that I can put below that's a link that they can download, look, read, or experience more of Susie?
yeah. So I just finished, it's been 2 years now. I launched it during COVID. My new book called Power Your Profit, book number 10. And it's the roadmap of taking your business from 10,000 to 10 million. And I'm giving you a free copy of my ebook. It's published by Simon and Schuster. So
Yay.
it's a juicy book, right? And I walk you through what did it take for me to build 10 businesses, right? What did it take to build multi-million dollar companies? And then what's the system I used? Because systems give you freedom, right? That Comfort Tools is just a system
Yeah.
to go, oh, what do I like to do when I'm off? Oh, a massage, my toes, my nails, right? Friends, who are my friends? Right? That's a system. A recipe is a system, right? I'm a great cook, and so I follow recipes, and then you tweak the recipes, right? So this is a recipe book for your business. To go, what do I need to do to get myself unstuck? What do I need to do to check my mindset? What do I need to do to manage my business all in one place? Because when I started this, I got to this class and I got to write
Yeah.
that, get that book, and that I'm like, doesn't somebody have it in one place? So
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to put a roadmap together for students and for clients to go, here's your roadmap. Just follow the roadmap. People go, Susie, how do you do it? I'm like, I just follow my roadmap. Do it over and over and over again.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. That's pretty funny. Okay, so make sure to download the book. It's really valuable. I mean, I've heard you speak so many times, and I always take away good nuggets of stuff that I can actionize. One thing that I think that was very interesting about what your story is that you did kind of have like that God seed or soul or spirit or whoever knocking on your shoulder all the time, saying, "Well, what about this? And what about this?" And you were in denial partially, but then you came out of denial and you say, well, yes, and I find as an entrepreneur, the easiest thing to say is, well, yes, and then see how you're going to figure it out. But why I bring that up is I wanted to tell all the listeners out there that, if you have someone asking you, can you do this? And you hear it like 3 times and you're like, no, then guess what? You probably can. And that's probably why they asked, because they knew you could. So there you go. That's a little tap on your shoulder saying, expand, right? Expand into your full greatness, because people looking on at us, don't you think, Susie, that people see more of what we are than what we see of what we are?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think I'm the human highlighter. I can see possibility in someone, in their tragedy and in their greatness.
Yeah.
Now, in the beauty industry, I was so comfortable in that industry when somebody said, "Oh, do you have a book?" I'm like, "Okay, I'll write a book." "Oh, do you have it on audio?" "Okay, I'll do that." "Oh, I'll create this membership site." "Okay." It was when that's, I think, a bigger indicator is look when the fear steps in. Right. And what was the difference? I just was scared of the people because I didn't have that piece of paper on the wall, right? That degree that was so important, that I made that up. and go, oh, so I think it is important. God has always given me what I call the cosmic boot. I don't want that to happen to you. The number 10 is all around me, right? So I've been in 10 car accidents. The last one I had back surgery and neck surgery and had to stop everything I was doing. And each time that I've had some kind of car accident, it made me stop. And in the stopping, a new business was birthed. A new opportunity was birthed, right? A new belief system was birthed. Now I don't have to do the cosmic boot. I do it for myself, right? I just got off of, a month of vacation to go, that's my cosmic boot. I'm going to take a month off to really get perspective of what do I want to do now in this season? Do I want to keep doing what I'm doing? Do I want to reshape that? Versus I got to get ran over by a car and get some surgery in order for me to stop and evaluate what I'm doing. So I want you to look like in the side of, those lessons, the gift that it came wrapped in sandpaper, right? It wasn't a pretty gift. It was a horrible gift. It was a painful gift, but it was a gift all the same, right? My husband, I was married 17 years. I was getting ready to ditch him when I first met him. I'm like, oh, he's not my type. And when I got in that car accident, he really nursed me back to health. He was there. He brought me food. He was like, can I do anything for you? Can I take you to the doctor? I did not see any of that because I was so busy being busy. And now when I had the cosmic boot and I stopped, it was like, oh, here is a kind man. He's taking care of me. He does not know me that well. I think we had been dating maybe 3 weeks or a month, something really small. But I'm like, next. He's not the one. He doesn't fit my box,
Right.
But saw him for who he was versus my busyness of, this unrealistic checkbox of going, oh, here's a man of character. Here's someone who cares for me and doesn't know me that well. And so I think don't wait for the cosmic boot. Listen to the whisper. Oprah had said on one of the interviews, they said, if you had to do it all over again, what would you do? And she said, I would listen to the whisper versus waiting for the tsunami.
That's really good advice.
Like how many times you wait till you're run over, me physically run over, right? Yeah. Before I would listen to what's next for me, right? Or relationships would blow up when you knew those little voices were saying, no, back away. And to go, oh, taking time for you is not selfish. Taking time for you gives you time to reflect. Am I doing the things that I love? Am I providing for my family the way that I want to? Am I being the kind of spouse, partner that I want to be? Am I being the kind of mom I want to be? All that takes reflection time. And we make it bad, right? I want to give you permission to make it good.
Yeah.
To go, oh, you don't always have to be busy, being busy.
Yeah, one of my talks is stop getting stuck in your busyness and get down to business.
Exactly.
Just stop doing, spend more time being. And, Ram Dass, I don't know if you're familiar with him, he wrote the Be Here Now, he had a stroke and he stroked out and he couldn't speak as fast as he could think. And so he wrote a book called Still Here. And it was all about the pauses in between the speech. And he got so much deeper into his spirituality because, basically the brakes were put on his output. He's prolific. And, the brakes were put on his output and he was much better able to formulate his soul connection or whatever you would call it out there. But I thought it's what happens. I know I broke my wrist one time when I really needed to just slow down. And there you have it.
That's the cosmic boot, girl. So slow down before you break your back, break your neck, break your wrist, break your leg.
Yeah. And that's taken the time. That's taken time to put in daily practice of just pausing, don't do 24/7. Right. So, yeah. Hey, so is there anything that I should have asked you that maybe we should touch on besides what we've already discussed? Am I missing
I would say that
Carder wisdom?
The number one reason I see people not succeeding, because 80% of small businesses fail in the first 5 years, right? Out of the 80%, the 20% that are left, right? 80% of those people are not profitable and are not paying themselves a proper paycheck. Now that's scary. You can go get a job and make more money than you can running a business. And so when I look at that, 80% of small businesses that are still in business are doing less than 100 grand a year. Go get a job, right? You can get a job for that. And so when I look at that, I'm like, well, why? And it's because we're not disciplined enough to write the plan out. We all think about the plan.
Yeah.
We all talk about the plan. We go, oh, I have a plan, it's in my drawer, or I have a plan, it's in my computer. No, I'm talking about a living, breathing business plan that you can keep going to. There's two types. There's a capital plan. So when I was raising money, because that looks different, because you gotta enroll people in giving you money. Or there's a working plan that's just for your team, right? That's for you and your team. And your team can be, subcontractors that you work with. They don't have to be independent contractors. They don't have to be employees. They're people who are helping you row the boat to make that happen. Yeah. Take time to write a thorough business plan and look for the holes in the business before you run the business. Now, it's not magic, right? But it feels like magic because you get so crystal clear. Stop spending money before you're really clear on how you're going to get clients, how you're going to make that happen. I want to see you win and succeed. And so the first chapter in my book is building a profitable business model, right? To go, oh, don't just pull it out of your genius zone. That could be your hiney, that could be your heart, that could be your head, wherever your genius zone is, right? Take that time, right? One of my first business plans, I did it in a weekend, right? There's some amazing software out there that you can just download and it asks you questions and you fill it out to go, oh, is this a viable business? Right. So one of my first businesses, Kathi, the salon and spa, right? We did $1 million. We won all the accolades. We were in every magazine. And that year I lost $70,000. So I was a statistic. I was just excited to get to $1 million. I wasn't looking at profit. I wasn't looking at, I paid myself, but I didn't pay myself. Like the reality is I shouldn't have paid myself because I was in negative 70 grand. Yeah. Right. And that was an eye opener. It's like, how do you do $1 million and lose money? And what am I doing wrong? Yeah. Right. Because again, I had a pieces of a plan, but I didn't have a plan. Okay. Right. And putting it all together to go, oh, I'm not charging enough. Right. So it's all the little things that we need to be looking at that a business plan will help you poke holes in it so that you don't lose money.
So I was going to say, what's your favorite organizing hack? But I have a feeling that you're going to say, put together a good business plan.
A good business plan, but I love Trello. I love me some Trello, right? Because I can stay organized and I can see all the plans and my team can see all the plans. And look, and to me, I've used them all. And that one has been the easiest. It satisfies my creativity and my visual organization as well as my linear organization and my team, right? Because some of them are more linear than I am, which is perfect. I need them on my team. Yeah. And I like pictures. Like I got to see it to understand it. And so it helps me visually.
I love Trello. Yeah, it really floats my boat too. And it's such a good team collaboration tool. I love Trello. So good. Yay. All right, girl. Well, thank you for your time. We'll make sure to put the download for your free book. That's very generous. Everybody go out and download that book. So that's important for you. Even if you think you have a business plan, I guarantee you're going to find some things that maybe you missed a few dots of your I's or crosses of your T's after you go through it. And I know also that you're now one of the ringleaders of the Evolutionary Business Council. So I figure we should maybe talk about that just for a minute. I'm a member and I really like it. What do we have? I know we have coming up. I'm not sure when this podcast is going to be released, but let's just talk broadly about the EBC real quick.
Yeah, so the EBC was started for business owners like ourselves, where we wanted a collaborative that we could network together. We can share the truth together. Where does the superwoman take off her super cape? Right? Where is that safe place that you can go, I don't really know what I'm doing? Right, that's the Evolutionary Business Council. We've got an annual retreat every year. We've got different things that you can plug into. We like connecting other people with. So if Kathi needs somebody that that Kathi needs, or if there's a stage that I can't do, I can call upon Kathi. So it's dynamic. There's high level networking. There's some badass individuals there, and we just want to help each other build and grow your business.
Yeah, and I will put the link to the EBC down below, the Evolutionary Business Council, so that you can check it out as well. Well, Susie, thanks so much for your time. It's been a pure pleasure, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you sometime very soon.
Thank you, Kathi. I appreciate you. And thank you for all you do for all of us entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. Take care, Susie.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks for listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you want to hear more, feel free to subscribe on the platform of your choice. Also, if you feel so inclined, I would truly appreciate a good rating from you to me. Have a stellar day.